So, okay, I welcome everyone for the WTA lab. So, today we will try to understand how to execute programs, web programs on Linux as well as Windows platform. Though we will be conducting our lab on Linux platform on CentOS in your lab, I'll be majorly concentrating on that. But still, I will show you the platform and the softwares needed for our Windows and how to execute web programs on Windows environment too. So in the last class, I actually spoke about some of the softwares like how to install CentOS using VirtualBox and code editors like Atom and XAMPP. How many of you have already installed it? So you people have installed?
Yes, sir.
So anyway, it's good if you have installed it. And if you haven't installed it, I will again show you the sites from where you can download it. So right now I will be sharing my screen. So the first thing is you want CentOS. You can install it as a dual boot system along with your Windows on your laptop or desktop. So you can install VirtualBox or your CentOS can be installed using VirtualBox. So try to install your CentOS separately on Windows as a dual boot. That means at the boot time it will ask you to whether boot for Windows or Linux. There you can select Windows or Linux and boot the given operating system. Due to some reason you are unable to install it, so I think everyone is having Windows. On Windows operating system, install Oracle VirtualBox, so which you can download from virtualbox.org. Then our CentOS 7 version or current version is 8. You can install it from centos.org. You can download there and you should install the CentOS in VirtualBox. So you can search how to install it. If you don't know, you can search the web to find it, or else I will share a video or I will upload a video of how to install VirtualBox, how to install CentOS in VirtualBox. So then if you are using Windows environment, this XAMPP software is needed if you are using Windows environment. So where you can download it from apachefriends.org. And you need a code editor like Atom or Visual Studio or even Bluefish. So you can download it, Atom from the website and Bluefish from this. I will be sharing this PDF file with you in the Teams. And I told you about Visual Studio. So this is Visual Studio Code Editor website. So the link is code.visualstudio.com where you can download this. So Visual Studio Code Editor is actually open source software which you can install it on Windows, Linux or Mac OS. So in this site you can select download for Windows. If you want for other Mac OS, Windows 64 or Linux, you can get and download that. So if you are using Debian Linux, you can use that. Or if you are really So if you are using Linux, then RPM package should be selected because Debian distribution is not. Ubuntu and other operating system comes under Debian Linux distribution, whereas our Red Hat, so Fedora and CentOS comes under Red Hat Linux. So RPM is Red Hat Package Manager. So RPM file should be selected and you should install that if you are installing it on Linux. So anyway, I won't go into it. This is the location, code.visualstudio.com is the site. So next today directly, let's go on see how to execute a program or how to, before executing and develop a program, you can use any code editors. Okay, you can use any code editors of your choice, like Atom, Visual Code Editor, or even the simple programs you can type it using gedit on Linux or your Notepad or WordPad on your Windows. The first thing is you are supposed to type the program in a code editor. Then you need to save in document root. So as I told you earlier, document root is the location where actually you need to save it. Again, I will show you where is the document root is. So on Windows, if you are using Windows, on Windows, if you are having XAMPP, the location will be C drive, the XAMPP folder in which, and in that, so there is a folder known as htdocs. So this is actually the location where all your documents should be stored. That means any web programming document, you're supposed to save it. So if you are using on Windows XAMPP, you should go to C drive in XAMPP folder. XAMPP is the home folder of XAMPP. In that there is a subfolder known as htdocs where you should keep your file. For example, the first program, if you name it as 1.html, that 1.html should be saved here. Coming for Windows, so coming for, our Linux, let us assume you are using CentOS 7 or 8th version, depending on the latest version is 8. If you are using CentOS, so then what is the location? You need to save it. So it is in root directory var, under var it is www dot and slash html. So this is the document root. I've showed you on Windows what is the document root, and for Windows XAMPP what is the document root, and so this is actually the document root. So for Windows and CentOS, all of you note this important thing. So okay, once this, let me first go for Windows and show you some program and open it and show you the directory and how to start a Apache server. The first thing is to run your programs, you need to start web server. As I told you, Apache server is the most widely used web server, and also it is possible you can use IIS, which is Internet Information Server, which is a proprietary web server of Microsoft. So we will be using Apache server. So in Apache server, we will be demonstrating on Windows as well as CentOS. So first thing is you need to start the Apache server. So how do you, first let me see you, before you start your web programming, you need to start Apache server. So as I told you, if you have installed XAMPP, you will get a control panel, XAMPP control panel. On XAMPP control panel, you click on that. So you will get a XAMPP control panel like this. So this is what the XAMPP control panel is. So you can see Apache, MySQL, FileZilla, Mercury, Tomcat. Of course, here the dot into mark says that we have not installed Tomcat. So Tomcat should be installed, which is an application server or a Java servlet container. So if you are really going for Java programming, you may need a Tomcat server, then you can install it. So from XAMPP control panel, you can start it. But right now, Apache, MySQL, and FileZilla are actually active, that are being installed. So, and of course, we don't need all these things. We need Apache and MySQL. Keep that in mind. For all the programs, we need Apache web server and MySQL. For one of the programs, I think in 10th program, the last program, 10th program, we are using MySQL database. That means 10th program is a PHP program which will go and access the MySQL database. So only 10th program you need a MySQL server, which is a DBMS database management system server, which you need. Only for the last program you can do that. Otherwise, you can start it. So here Apache, in front of Apache, you are seeing start symbol. You can click on start. So here you can get status changing, detected, running. You got a message running. See, due to some reason in the last lab, it failed to run. XAMPP fails to run Apache server or MySQL server due to some reason. So keep that in mind why it failed, because there may be some other. In the last lab, it failed to run because some of my virtualization software like VMware workstation which I was running, so was actually using the same port 80 and 443. Okay, if you see your ports, so port 80 is there and 443 is there. See, web server always listen by a well-known port 80. So web server listens by well-known port 80. That means your HTTP server, which is a web server, uses port 80. Then what about the port 443? See, 443 in the previous semester, while I was discussing security, I told you about how to provide security to web. I spoke about SSL, which is Secure Socket Layer, or TLS, Transport Layer Security. So, which is used to provide security for our web. That means our HTTP plus our SSL or TLS forms HTTPS, which is secure HTTP. And if our web server provides encryption, uses a protocol like SSL, so then it uses a port number 443. So keep that in mind. Port 80 is used by HTTP and port 443 is used by SSL, that is HTTP plus S. Okay, so that is the reason. If these ports are being used by some other software, assume that you are using, apart from our Apache, you are already started IIS, definitely you will get an error, because two programs or two web server can't listen by the same port. Okay, so if you are one of the web server is already listening by 80, so then your XAMPP tries to run Apache again by 80, then it will fail. So that's why you should keep track of the status here. If something goes wrong, then you should shut down those servers, then you should start it. So again, if you get on this part module, you will get a light green part indicating that Apache is currently running. So if Apache fails, you will get in status Apache failed to run, as well as this will be in red. Okay, and of course you're showing something like PID, which is process identifier, which you are all aware of. Every process in an operating system is uniquely identified by an integer known as PID, or process identifier. So that means our Apache server PID is 16,172. That is right now. It keeps on changing every time you run it. Okay, it is assigned by the operating system. So now this is how you should run it. And if you need MySQL, so you can also start that. So, and again, right now it got started, and port it is listening by is 3306. That is the well-known port for MySQL. And again, right now on these two buttons, you see stop button, because already it is running. So at some point of time, if you want to stop, you can stop it. So now your Apache server is up and running. So is it right? How you can check it out? So open a browser. So you minimize that control panel, open a browser. So in the URL window, type HTTP colon, so local host. So you can type local host also, but there is the correct form to type is so HTTP localhost. So what does it mean? So that means you people know that every time you want to visit a website, you type HTTP google.com or google.co.in or facebook.com like this, which is the domain name of the server, which will be converted to IP address. But right now, where is our web server running? Our web server is currently running XAMPP Apache web server is running on the same machine. So that is the reason on the same machine you are running, your machine name is localhost. So that's why you are giving localhost. That means you are making a HTTP request to a web server that is running on our local machine. So if your Apache server is up and running, everything is fine. So press enter. So you should get this message on Windows. On Windows, so you people should get this message which says that, so this is the XAMPP home page. So that means if you get this page, then you can say that your web server is perfectly running all right. So now you are ready to start programming. Start programming and put it in document root, and you can run your programs. So the point here is, so this is the one, you can do it. So now everything, see for example, if this is not running, so let me minimize it. Now I will run this, I will give the stop, I will stop the Apache server, I stopped it. So now let us try to see the web page, and let me refresh it. You can type localhost or it says unable to collect. Keep this in mind. See, when you do web programming, there are a lot of error message that you get it. So right now you got a message that Firefox can't establish a connection to the server at localhost. Why? Because your browser is a client which tries to request an HTTP request to the server, HTTP connection to the server. So server is not running, so you get a message unable to connect. But many times server is running, and you get some other messages like 404, page not found, 404. Okay, or sometimes you will get a message server error. So that means server error means server is running, but the program that was meant to get executed on the server failed to get executed. Why? Due to some reason. If the program you have written is a PHP, and if there is a syntax error in a PHP program, then Apache server won't be able to execute. Then Apache server will send a message, error message. See, you people should be aware of it. Like, so success message, HTTP status code is important to understand the programming. So something like 2xx, 3xx, 4xx, and 5xx are there. I won't go into that, but note that, so 2xx, a status code is a 3-digit number, 2xx is don't care. It is a success message. So let me make you clear. Some at least you will say 2xx, 2xx is usually success. So similarly, 4xx and 5xx, I will tell you. So 4xx is client error, and 5xx is server error. So what does it mean? So it means that, see, a client makes a request. Client makes a request, give me abc.html. So server will check in the document abc.html and sends it. So at that time, server will send a success code. So I am not giving all example. I am giving one example. Success code is 200. Okay, one example of success code is 200, which says that, so when you send a request, server will successfully send you the file or a resource, and server will also send a status code, a HTTP says status code 200, that indicate that the request is successfully serviced. So then coming for this, next is client error. See, client error. Right now, I told you that client will make a request. I will give a name abc.html. The file is present in server abc.html. So, and it will send. But I make a mistake. Instead of abc, I will type abd.html. At that time, the request for the file name was wrong, or the path of the file name, the client, the user specified in the client or your browser is wrong, that is indicated by the client error message. Example, the most famous error message is for HTTP 404. Okay. So what does it say? That means when you get this message, be sure that the path name or the file name you have given in the browser is actually wrong. You recheck the name of the file or the path of the file in the URL window of your browser should be checked and you should give it. So that's what it indicates. So server error. Then what is server error? See, you actually not only request a file, sometimes you or a client tells the server to execute a program and give the output of the program. So you may be aware of your simple your VTU website. You are in VTU, you people go to your results. If your results is announced, you'll go to VTU results.vtu.ac.in and then you check on the results. Actually, you type your USN and press submit. So once you do that, you notice the URL. In the new URL, there will be something like result.php along with other parameters. So what you are telling to do is you are telling the VTU web server to execute a result.php with the parameter which is 1SJ17, whatever your register number. So that means VTU web server will execute result.php with the parameter which is your USN. So what does that result.php, which is a PHP program, will connect to the database, search for your primary key USN and get all those in the table. Your results are fetched and it will build a HTML page which contain your result sheet and send back to your browser. And your browser displays your result. So now the point is, someone as programmer has written the result.php, a PHP program. What if there is a syntax error? If there is a error in result.php, you make a request, server please execute result.php and give me the result. But result.php is being executed by the Apache server. So it is being executed by the Apache server. So what does it do is it will try to execute result.php, but there is a syntax error. At that time, what happens? So the server, your Apache server can't execute it. At that time, it will send a server error message with status code 500. So status code 500 is usually the common server error. Okay. So this is the server error. Not necessary that there should be a syntax error. Of course, result.php is a current program. It should connect to the database. So Apache server executes result.php and result.php, there is one connection function to connect to the MySQL database. MySQL server itself is not running. If MySQL server is not itself running, then PHP program fails to connect to the database. That means finally you won't be able to get the result. At that time, the Apache server again sends the server error. So that means server error is an error that server tells that there is some problem with the server. Maybe the program is wrong, maybe the database connectivity is wrong. So this problem, you can't solve it. Only the administrator or the programmer who have written the program, that should be solved at the server side. Client side also, client side error can be solved by you, because majority of the times the client error comes because the path name or the file name you are requesting is wrong. That's why client error, you should check your own browser. So server error, you should go and check the program in the document root by the administrator. So success, you don't have problem. Like that, so 1xx, 2xx, 3xx, 4xx and 5xx are the status codes. X-axis don't care. X is a number, any number from 0 to 9. That means 2xx means 200 to 299. 4xx means 400 to 499. 5xx means 500 to 599. Okay. So this is what actually the status code. So now first what you got was connection timed out. The connection timed out message, you got it because the server was not running. It didn't show you client error or server error. That's why make sure if you get connection, unable to connection or connection refused, then there is a problem with the server itself. So server itself is not started. So you should go and start that. So now I will again start the Apache server. So now you can refresh. You got the page. Once you refresh, you got this page. So now everything is ready. Now I told you about document root. Where is document root? So in XAMPP, the document root is here. So it is in C drive. In C drive, there is a folder XAMPP. In XAMPP, there is a folder htdocs. So note, all of you note this path. In C drive XAMPP, in XAMPP, there is a subfolder known as htdocs. So here, you can write a very simple program. For example, I can type simple notepad. I can give welcome to web programming. I typed a message and I will save this file, save or save as. Okay, so I will go to C drive. In C drive, XAMPP folder. In XAMPP folder, htdocs. htdocs. I will give some name to it. So I will give well. Okay, well, I will give just all files. Okay, well, I am not given any extension to it. Just well is saved there. So I am saving it in XAMPP htdocs. In C drive XAMPP htdocs, I will save it. So now you have created your first file and stored in the document root. So next, what you're supposed to do is open your browser. Okay, go to this there, give to local host, HTTP localhost or simply localhost. Then I want to get my page well, which is a file which was just a text file. So I haven't saved it as .text. I have just saved it as well. So now what is this? You are making request to the server. Where it is? It's on the local host. You are requesting to send me the page well, the file well. Now let us see what happens. So I think there is anyway the error comes in. So well, WEL well, this is what error 4 not found. So error 4 not found is actually client error. That is some mistake. I have given a wrong the name of the file. So I need to go and check it out whether the file has been saved with that name or actually with some other name. XAMPP htdocs. So well is a text document. It has by default taken an extension .txt. So the point is I need to give an extension here. Well, that is what the name of the file was wrong. I should give it as well.txt. So previously just I gave well. So I didn't give the extension like HTML or TXT or PDF. That was the mistake. So now I will give well.txt. So now everyone can see at the top, you can see welcome to web programming. If you're not seeing, I will enlarge it. So you got the message, welcome to web programming. So that means that was the first web page or just a page we created and put it in your document root and we saw that result. So hope everyone got it. So this is how we need to do it every time. So do your programming, save your programs in document root. Use for programming, use any note editor like Atom, so Bluefish, okay, or your Visual Studio Code editor or any other editors. You type the programming, save it, and you can run your program here. Okay. So I hope you understood that how to do it on web programming. But keep that in mind. So the error you understood what is a server, what is the client error, you got it? 404. For example, WEL. I will make a spelling mistake. One more WEL I will give it. So now what is the error you should get it? The kind of error you get it is 404 because the name of the file wel.txt I have given. So you should get, so the page not found error, the page not found error, you will get it. Okay, so that's why whenever you get 404, that means you should always check in the browser URL window whether the name of the file is present, name of the file is correct or path is correct, or whether the requested file is present on the server or not. Because I can't go and ask google.com and I'd ask some abc.html, that file may not be present. So that's why, so clearly you should give the file name and path name. Otherwise, the kind of error you encounter is what? Client error, which is 404, which is page not found or object not found. So now I will give the correct URL. So you got the message, welcome to web programming. So, okay, this is how you should develop your program and store in htdocs. So the first thing, I'll repeat it. So you should open your XAMPP folder. So you should install XAMPP correctly, then start your XAMPP. So do it. Okay. And if you need MySQL, you can also start it. If you don't need MySQL, you don't need it. You don't need to start it. So, okay, the point here is you understood it. So MySQL and Apache server is running. There is one more thing. I will come to that. Though you need at the beginning, at the end of your during project you need it. So one more thing is there in which is in especially XAMPP, which is known as PHP MyAdmin, because I told you about MySQL, which is a structured query language where you will write SQL statements like select star from table name or create table or drop table, whatever the SQL statements you do it. So I need to create table with many attributes, 10 attributes. I need to create a table. I need to create 25 such tables. It will be difficult to do that. So every time typing the program. But PHP MyAdmin provides you to automatically create tables, database. So whatever you want regarding database, you can do that. So how to go to PHP MyAdmin? Go to localhost, there PHP MyAdmin. So note the point, localhost/php myadmin, then press enter. So this is the PHP myadmin page. So this you will get it only if MySQL, if your Apache server as well as MySQL server is running. Because PHP myadmin is a package provided by XAMPP, which provides you MySQL administration using graphical user interface like this or a web interface. Okay. So for example, here I have a databases here. So I want to create a database. So I went to databases, create database. I will give some programming WTA. I want to create a database by name WTA. So definitely you can do that. Simply type, give a name to it, then just give create. So database created. So I want to create a table again. I can go and create a table, no table found. I can go and create the table with different attributes. So without actually typing the query itself, I can create table, I can create a database. So all the things you can do it automatically using PHP MyAdmin. This is needed for your project, web project. So where you may use PHP as well as MySQL database there to create a table, to create your database, all your database activities, your PHP MyAdmin will be useful. Okay. So I have created a database known as web. Is it right or wrong? So the point is, let me show you that a database by the name web is created. So what you can do is go to command prompt. You need to connect to the MySQL server. So I'll give MySQL, okay, which is a client, -h, localhost, -u, username is root, and -ep prompt for the password. So what does it say? It says that MySQL, I don't know how many of you are able to see it. slightly enlarge the font size so that you can easily see it. MySQL -H option is for host name. The name of the host name is localhost. Minus U is for username. Root user on my MySQL server, I'm connecting it. -P means prompt for password. I should give a password it, but MySQL database by default for root user there is no password. So that's why for development purpose you can use it, but really when you host your web server, if you are having MySQL server, you should set password for your database. So that's a good practice, but by default, so there is no password. So when I press enter, so I think a path has not been set. So the same method I can go to XAMPP, path is not set. So you can get that. So I will go to XAMPP. Okay, MySQL folder is there, CD. So MySQL. So CD bin. So all these things are not needed. If you set in the properties in the desktop My Computer properties, you can go and set the path. Path has not been set here. So now I can give the same command which I gave it. So MySQL -H localhost you root password. So it will ask for password. As I told you, there is no password. You can enter it. So right now, so you have connected to the or MySQL, which is actually MariaDB. Now, your database web should be there. I can give a query, show DATA databases. If you see this, I gave a query, show databases. There is other information schema, MySQL, PHP management test, WTA. I created a new database known as WTA, and this table WTA is there. This database WTA is there, not table, a database. In a given database, we can have hundreds or thousands of tables. We can create it. So I can connect to that, and I can create tables there. Okay, let's not go much into that. That later we will see. So right now, we understood that how you can do that. So hope you understood how actually you should start your Apache and how to start a MySQL and how to connect to MySQL database. If you want to create a table easily or create a database easily, so you can use phpMyAdmin. So the address you are supposed to give for phpMyAdmin is what? So to go for phpMyAdmin in your browser, you should give local host /phpMyAdmin. Okay. So one condition regarding this is, so Apache and MySQL server must be running. So this is the important point you need to note. Apache and MySQL server must be running. Otherwise, simply Apache server is running, but MySQL server is not running. You won't be getting the phpMyAdmin page. Okay. So, okay, with that, now that's about Windows. I will show you, go and execute the program and show you the first program here. But before that, now let's go to Linux. That's where we will be doing it. So as I told you, in VirtualBox, I have installed Apache. I have installed CentOS on VirtualBox. So if you have installed CentOS on VirtualBox, this what you get. Okay, right now on Windows, I am in VirtualBox, I am running CentOS 7. So note that once you have done that, so you can log into it. If you have a username, you can log in it. But in our lab, we will be logging with a root user or super user. Why root user or super user? Reason is I'll be executing some commands, okay, which only a root user or a super user can execute it. If as a normal user, if you give those commands, it will say command not found because that user don't have sufficient privileges to execute a given command. So root user is needed, or if you have logged in as other user, you should use sudo command, super user do command, then it will ask for root user password, then you should provide it. Instead of that, so I will log in as a root user. That's why here a user Arvinda is listed here. I have given you not listed. So I will type the username as root, enter. So I will give a password for it. You should give. So you should use the password you have chosen and then give sign in. So if your password and username is correct, so you will get this. So I think unexpectedly it started anyway. I will again restart it. So the CentOS. You can select CentOS and boot. So okay, now log in as usual as a root user. Root and give the password. You can sign in. So anyway, now this is CentOS which I have started. So now I have logged in as a root user. You can see it. I have installed here. Firefox is there. Atom is there. Atom Bluefish editor is there that is needed. Atom and Bluefish, and terminal is there. So the point is you have logged in as root user. You can open the terminal. Okay, you can open the terminal. You can see here root at localhost. So the point here is, what does it say? Username at localhost. That says that your username is root. So root user at localhost. If you have logged in as Arvinda at localhost, I would have got. So okay, the point here is now you need to execute some commands. There was XAMPP, easily used to do it. Okay, now I need MySQL and MariaDB, both Apache and MariaDB server. So how do you start it? How do you do that? So okay, now let me give you those commands needed. See, keep that in mind that you need some commands to start and stop, enable and make the servers active. See some of the commands, CentOS service command. See, to see the list of all the status of services, so you can use this command. Okay, services means services are provided by server. That means to find out the status of all the servers that are running, you can use this command. So how to enable or disable, you will use this command for HTTP. And to start HTTP, to stop HTTP, and to list the status of the given service. So let me show you that clearly right now. See, there is a command known as SYSTEM, system, CTL, system control command in CentOS. You can use system control. Okay. Now, I don't know whether the system control your HTTP server, Apache server is running. So I need to see whether it is enabled, whether it is active. So I will give a option for system to is-enabled, VLED, enabled our Apache server. What is the name of Apache server on our Linux? It is known as HTTPD. You may mean, what is this HTTPD? See, D stands for daemon process. On Linux, all the processes that are running in the background and is not associated with any terminal, such process we call it as daemon process. And all the server programs are daemon process. Okay, that means they run in the background. They don't have any controlling terminal like keyboard or monitor. Okay. So Apache server name is HTTPD. So what I have given is, I have given system control command, I have given option is enabled, and I have given the server name as HTTPD. Now see what happens. So enabled, you got a message known as enabled on the left side. What does it say? That says that your HTTP D is not enabled. So if it is not enabled, you should enable it. That means if you get a message disabled, you should go and enable it. Now, is it active? I need to go and check, is it active? You can see AC. I'll give an option, is active. Then check that. So you are getting a message active that says that HTTP day is active. If not active, so you should go and change it. So, but right now, if you have installed it, it is enabled and it is active. So we'll get the enabled and active. Now I want to see whether my HTTPD Apache server is running or not. How do you do? So you can give system CTL status, option status about HTTPD. Okay. So now you got a message here, loaded, active. You got an active and running. Here you can see there is active and running. So many instances, because server will create multiple threads. Okay, multiple instance, because multiple browsers or clients or users can make a request at the same time. That's why multiple instances of the program will be running. So that's why it is showing the various PIDs. So, and the thread IDs are shown here. So this is the message what you got it. That means your Apache server is running. So, okay, now how to start and stop? Assume I want to stop. I want to stop my Apache server. You can use SYSTEM system CTL. I can give the command STOP stop. Then I can give HTTPD. So successfully it stopped. You didn't get any message. That means it is stopped. If you are not sure, go and again see the status. STATUS. So give system control status. The name of the status for which server? HTTPD. So the point is, so right now you are getting active as inactive or dead. That means HTTP server or your web server or Apache server is not running. So that's what status will give you the name. The syntax is very simple. Name of server. So I will again show you what is the, I can type you the command here, systemctl status name of server. This is the syntax you people should name system control status name of server. Here in this case, the server name is Apache server. What is the name given there? HTTPD. So to start, similarly, you can use the command systemctl start. To start the server, we can give the name of server. Similarly, to stop, systemctl stop name of server. Hope you got the point. So that's what system control can be used to stop, start, status, or you can also restart. So restart will stop and again start. Sometimes when we make changes to the configuration of a server, we need to restart it. At that time, you can give a command system control restart with the name of this server. Okay, you don't need to do this all the time. So only at the beginning when you enter a lab, the server may not be running, some might have stopped it. So see the status. So if it is running, don't do anything, it's working. Similarly, if you need to do it for MySQL also, that is MariaDB also. Okay, now let us say, go and see with the MariaDB. So before that, let me go and it has stopped. So I will give sys system. First, I will clear it. System control start HTTPD. So now you have started it. If you want, you can again go and see the status. So once you see the status, you will get a message active and running. That means our Apache server is active and running. Okay. So now, really, is it running? We checked it in XAMPP on Windows. So similarly, you can actually check it out. Open your browser. So in the URL window, so what you are supposed to do is give localhost, same HTTP localhost, localhost. So and press enter. So if you get this page, so successfully we have configured and we have installed and our started our web server Apache. So you are getting, so see the different message there. In XAMPP, you are getting some XAMPP home page which will show you the success of our Apache. Here, you are getting testing 1, 2, 3. This page is used to test the proper operation of Apache and it has been installed. You can read this page. So if you get this page, that means this is the home page you are getting. Your Apache server is up and running. So if you don't get this, that means your Apache server has not started. So you need to go and start it. So always make sure when you open a browser, give localhost, you should get this. Okay, that means you have started your Apache server and up and running. So okay, now similarly, let me start the other server. So how do you start the server? MySQL server systemctl. Okay, I will see the status. Okay, system control status MariaDB. Okay, so I am seeing the name of the MySQL server on Linux is known as MariaDB. So see the status. So now see here it is showing active and running. That means it is already running. Okay. So if you want, you can stop it. For example, I will stop it. So give a command, stop it. That will stop. Then you can again see the status. See the status. So the status actually saying that MariaDB is inactive or dead. You can see that the active status is inactive or dead. So system CTL start. Now I will start it. MariaDB. So if everything is fine, you will get the prompt again saying that successfully. See, due to some reason a server couldn't start, immediately in red you will get the error message telling that unable to start. Right now I got the prompt, directly I got the prompt. So that means it is successfully started. Again, you can go and see the status if you want. So you can see that active and running. So now if you really want to stop and start due to some reason, you can use restart option also. So I can use the restart option, RESTART. So here the point, only one syntax difference is, so I made a mistake here, a spelling mistake. Okay, let me see. System control restart MariaDB. So what it did was it stopped your MariaDB which was running, then it restarted it. So for Apache also you can start and stop. Okay, really if you want to connect to the database, how do you do that? As I told you earlier, so you can give the command MySQL, same thing, -h localhost -u, username is root, and -p prompt for the password and press enter. So it asks for password, as I told you. So MySQL or MariaDB by default for root user there is no password. So I will press enter. So now you successfully connected to the MariaDB server. So here you can create a database. For example, I can create database known as WTA. Okay, I'll give a query, create database WTA. So now, sorry. So it's a query, okay, one row affected. What does it say? The query was executed successfully. That means a database by name WTA is created. So is it really created? You can again give a query, show databases, DATABASES bases. Of course, every query should end with a semicolon. So ending with a semicolon. So if you see here, it is showing a lot of database information schema, MySQL performance schema test, and at the last, this is WT. You may wonder what all these are some of the system databases maintained by MariaDB. Don't worry about these things. But right now, note that we have created a database by name WTA. So that has been done. So hope you got it. So this is how you can check whether Apache server is running, MySQL server is running. You can connect it. So you need to execute the programs. These are the basic essentials you need. If you want to quit it, you can give exit or quit there. So it will say bye. So and finally, you are ready. So now let me see where is the problem. So where is document root? I told you document root on previous itself. I told you. See document root on CentOS. On CentOS, document root is root directory where www.html. That means in root, this slash / indicates the root directory, okay, which is the mother of all directory in Linux. So in that root directory, there is where. See, there is a difference between root and this. There is a difference between this and this. Keep that in mind. So what is this and what is this? See, this is root directory, which is mother of all directory. Okay, this under this directory itself, all other folders or directories are located. Then what is this? See, under root there is one more name root. This is home directory of root user. Slash root actually refers to home directory. So home directory of what? Of root user. So right now I logged in as a root user. So that means what should be my directory? So you can see here. So I will give pwd, present working directory. It will show you pwd. Root, you got it as slash root. That means right now, so you are in home directory because you logged in as what? You logged in as root user, so this is your directory. So assume I have logged in as user ABC, so then it won't be slash ABC. So except root user, all other users will have separate directory known as home directory. So make you sure I will clear the screen. I quitted it. So for all user, say root user directory, I will show you what is the for root user. This is user and this is directory. Okay. Assume for root user, what is the directory, or let me call this as home directory. Home directory of a given user. So the home directory of root user is root. So then assume I have a user ABC. So here you may be wondering that go to root directory and then I will give ABC. No, it's wrong. Only for root directory, in the root directory, the root folder will be there. Whereas for all other user, it will be home directory. So that means if a user name is ABC, his home directory will be slash home slash ABC. Assume there is a user PQR. So then the directory will be home slash PQR. Keep that in mind. So this point. So ordinary users folder or directory will be located in root home directory, whereas so home directory of root user. So root user is what? Is actually known as super user. Super user directory will be located here. So keep that in mind. All other users will be located here. So this is the very important point to note. Since you people are not aware of the file system on Linux, I'm just explaining that. Okay, now let's get back to it. So that is root. Now how to locate my file? So where www.tml, go to home folder here. See here lot of files are there. So but you need to give slash where www.tml. It's quite easy. Go to other location. Here in other location you will get your computer. In your computer, so go in your computer means it is root directory there. Under so many folders are there. So they have significance. Various I told you about home directory contains the folders of users. Okay, similarly val directory is there. Okay, similarly etc directory which contains configuration file, bin directory will be there which contains binary executable of the operating system itself will be there. Sbin or system binaries are there, like that different folders are there. I won't go into that, but right now in that location in my computer I went for var. In that var here www, and here there is two files cgbin and html. Okay, I will be using html. cgbin is another folder. I told you about Perl programming. If you are supposed to write a Perl program, Then you will place Perl program, which are the common gateway interface programs in CGI bin. Since our lab cycle doesn't contain anything, we don't place anything in CGI bin. We'll be using HTML. So this is the location where I've already placed all my programs, lab cycle programs I have placed here. Okay. So now let me make you clear how to develop simple web programming. Now let us create a simple message as we did it. Okay, many editors, if you are comfortable with GI, VI editor, any editor, I will use gedit. I will give gedit. I will give WEL well. Okay, well.text itself, I will give it. So it will open. So I will type welcome web programming. Okay, now make sure here when I give save, see here what happens. Saved the current file. But go and see where it is saved. So it is saved here itself. I will give ls. See here, well.text is saved here, well.text. And if you give present working directory, it is here. So that's why I make sure that when you use editor, you should give save as. You should save it in var www.html. So right now, if I open my browser and give localhost /well.text, it doesn't work. You'll get not found. That is not found is 404 message. So why that is the reason? Because well.text is there in which directory? In your root directory. So what should I do? I will copy that. Copy well.text to my directory, document root directory, which is /var www/html. So hope you are seeing. So I am copying this file to here. Not necessary every time you save it. While you save it itself, save it in this directory var www.html. Okay. So but right now I saved here. The common mistake students do it is they store it here in the root directory, then try to open in a browser. Server doesn't find this file because the directory is var www. It will see there in this location it's not found, so it will give page not found. That's why I will copy this to this directory. So it's successfully copied. You can go and see the location is there. Okay. So next thing is browser, open it. Same thing, well.text. If you enter it, see everyone got the message, welcome to web programming. I will enlarge it. So you got the file. You requested well.text. The client, your browser requested to HTTP server, and HTTP server actually sent you well.text, and your browser displayed this well.web. So here we are not transferring any HTML file. We are just transferring the text file to make you simple. But usually what we develop is we will develop the programs one by one. Right now, so if you go and see the location, now let me show you the first program that we have developed, though I don't explain that. Go to the location, go to your home. So in that, go to other locations. Your computer is there, where www.html is there. See, in this first program, I will read out the first program. I have saved it as 1.html. I have saved it as 1. You can give any name to make the simple. First program I have named it as 1.html. Second program as 2.html, like that. So I have named it as 1.html. It's not just an HTML. It is actually an HTML file which consists of JavaScript program embedded. That means first program is a JavaScript program which is embedded within HTML document. That's why I have named it as HTML. So okay, now let us see what is that first program. So let me read out the first program for you in the syllabus. So write a JavaScript program to design a simple calculator. So write a JavaScript program to perform the following operation. That means you need to write a JavaScript program to design a simple calculator which perform following operations: sum, product, difference, and quotient. So additions, multiplication, subtraction, and quotient. Of course, it's a quotient. Quotient is remainder after division. Okay, is it quotient? Remainder? No, it's not remainder. Quotient actually gives you the multiple value. For example, 9 divided by 4, the quotient is 2. 4 2s are 8. So it will get you 2 point something, and the remainder will be there. Quotient will you, here we are speaking of quotient, that means the decimal part will be rounded off. Okay, the floating point value will be rounded off, and if you give 4 divided by 9 divided by 4, instead of giving 2 point something, it will give you 2. So that means intentionally we have written it to calculate the quotient, not the complete division. It is not given as a division, we will give a quotient, so not the complete division operation. So that means you write a JavaScript program which you don't write it independently. We write JavaScript program, embed in a HTML page. The page is 1.html. Within that, the file is there. So if you're not sure, okay, now let's go to our program 1.html. I have saved in var www.html directory. So now open the browser. Apache server is up and running. So now I will give, so localhost, after that slash, then give 1.html. Okay, press enter. So here I removed this slash. Okay. So here anyway, you're getting a message. You don't have permission to access 1.html on this. So this is what permission problem. So that means you are trying to access a file which is actually present on the document root, actually on the web server. So I am accessing, so from the client, which is a Firefox, we don't have sufficient permissions. That's why it is getting this. But definitely you can actually change the permission of the file. So in the folder, you can go and change the permission. So group, usually the owner actually runs in root and browser runs actually as others. So permission is not given here. So I will give read only file permission. Again, see properties permission is there. Okay, read only, read and write. So now let me refresh this page. So okay, the file permission is to be given. The entire folder I can give it. So control minus. So okay, got the simple calculator. So that means it is not running independently. It is running within your browser. Within your browser, calculator is running. For example, I will give 3 plus. I don't know whether you are seeing it. So it is in light. So 3 plus 5 is equal to, you got it, 8. So similarly, you can do in C for clear, you can clear it. So then I will give 9 divided by 4. So division is there, but it won't give division result, it gives quotient. So 9 divided by 4 quotient is what? 2. You just got 2. Okay, if everything is fine, you can do all the calculations here. So 0 to 9, 4 operators, plus, minus, addition, subtraction, quotient, and multiplication. C is for clear and dot symbol is for decimal. That means I want to sometimes calculate 2.7 plus 3.8. So when you want to give decimal points, 22.7 plus 3.8 is given there, 26.5 is the result. So this is how the program works. I won't go into the logic of it and explain, but this is what everything is correct up and fine. Not always you will get an output. You will get a blank screen in a browser. So that means JavaScript program is a client-side scripting error, client-side scripting language. If you make a mistake, then browser won't be able to, if there is a syntax error, So browser won't be able to execute your program and you may get a blank screen or unexpected result you may get it. So how to check the errors? So let's not go into that. So first let me show you the program. Let me show you the program. So this is a JavaScript program 1.html. Here doc.html is there, HTML is there, head is there. So this is a document which is in HTML format. So next we have some, you don't worry at this point, they are all CSS selectors that is used to give style. In our calculator, the color was blue and we had buttons. How do you create that? How do you create that? By using CSS, cascading style sheet selectors. So, but note the point that your actual JavaScript program, see here, there is something known as script. So there is a tag known as script. And similarly, at the end here, there is a tag known as closing script tag. So opening script tag here and closing script tag. So in between what you are finding is this is JavaScript program. Okay. So due to some reasons, if there is an error, the program won't get executed, you won't get the output. I can show you that. Okay. So right now we understood the JavaScript program is within script tag, opening and closing script tag. Here there are three functions in JavaScript. Function is one is number, the function another one is CLE, which will clear the screen, and the third function is evaluate, the actual evaluation. If I give 4 plus 3 is equal to 7, who calculates that evaluation, addition, subtraction, quotient or division. So that is done by evaluation function. So these three functions are part of JavaScript code which actually performs the calculation. Whereas the front end, the buttons, the colors are being displayed by using HTML and CSS. The actual calculation or computation is done by using JavaScript. So that is the point you need to know. I won't explain you the complete logic. It's quite lengthy. In the next class, we will try to understand that. But today, so keep that in mind. So, okay. So the code is there. One important point I need to show you. So I will take the same program. I will open it using an editor and introduce a error to it. Okay, let me go to the directory here. I will change to my directory var www.html. Okay, you can see I am present working directory is var www.html. So what I do is I will open that program gedit 1.html. So okay, I have got the same program here. So here, if you due to some reason, if you make a mistake, okay, so I may introduce a function, I may not give this function. Okay, function is a keyword in JavaScript. I will remove this. I will remove this n. By mistake, I have removed it and I have removed it. Okay. So now I have introduced some errors, which is JavaScript errors. I will save it. So the point here is save it, then exit. So next is try to open in your browser. Now refresh it and see what happens. So clear. You are pressing any keys now, no keys are working. So that means this is displayed using HTML and CSS. But when you are trying to click on the keys, none of the keys are moving. There is an error. So how do you check JavaScript errors? See, JavaScript is client-side scripting language. So the errors, since client-side scripting language, the programs, JavaScript programs are executed by client. Client is your browser. Who should show you the error? The browser itself should show the error. So the error can be easily, not all the errors, only JavaScript or client-side scripting errors can be seen by using error console. error console or browser console. How do you go to that? Very simple. Go to Control Shift J. Control Shift J. So you will get the browser control. See here, Lord, what are the errors that you find is displayed here. Okay. So many errors of the previous program is there. Don't worry. You just delete all. So now browser or error browser console is empty, which will show you JavaScript errors. Now I will refresh this program, refresh these programs. So it won't work. Okay, now see the browser console, see here. So syntax error, missing before statement in line number, and see reference error, number is not defined. So that means you have error. I removed the function keyword n from the function keyword. So that is clearly indicated. This indicates the line number. You can click on that. That will take you to the document where actually error is located. So anyway, the browser will show you line numbers in which error has occurred. So error console or browser console should be used to check JavaScript errors. Okay, you can't find HTML or other errors. HTML browser doesn't display the errors. JavaScript, you can use it using browser console. There is a server-side scripting language like PHP, which is executed by the server. Browser can't identify the PHP program errors. Keep that in mind. I have seen students trying to find the PHP program errors in browser console. How? Because PHP programs are executed by your Apache web server. So browser doesn't execute it. So here you don't find any errors. Keep that in mind. So this is how you should find the JavaScript errors if there are any. So you should go for it. So let me now show you what is the browser console. Browser or error console. Control plus Shift So how do you get a browser or error console? This is a point to note. So important point to note, the JavaScript errors can be found using browser console or error console. So which is actually done by using Control Shift J. So it is Control Shift J. Not so here it is J. Keep that in point. Control Shift J. Okay. So this is the important point. So any errors to be JavaScript to be found is using Control Shift J. That means you should press plus return means Control Shift then J. All the three keys should be pressed simultaneously. Then browser console will open. And if you have more errors of the previous program also, you can delete the errors and rerun the program in your browser. Then the actual errors for your programs are actually displayed. So hope you got it. So this is how you can see any errors, JavaScript errors in browser console, which is Control Shift J. Okay. So this is what you do, how to execute the first program. If you're not clear, I have a manual where I've given it the steps you are supposed to write in your records. So execution steps should be there at the end of your program. Say, for example, the steps for execution. What is the first thing? You edit and save 1.html. In where? In document root where www.html of Apache server. You can use any editor, VI, Nano. You can use your Atom editor. You can use your Bluefish editor or Visual Code editor, but you should edit and save program in this directory. Next, in Firefox browser, you should give HTTP localhost 1.html in the URL window and press enter. Then if you don't get the output, what is there? Third step is important. If there are JavaScript errors, Go to error console or browser console by pressing Ctrl Shift J. Correct errors using editor and again go back to step 2 where you will be opening the same program in your browser. So this is the execution step, and finally output I have given everything is there in the manual. So that is how you should execute your programs. These steps should be, the steps differs from one program to the other program, majority of the same, but sometimes for PHP and other programs, steps changes, you will see that. Okay. So you can actually have developed program for Windows environment, which is running on XAMPP. So now I will give localhost 1.html. I'm running on Windows right now on XAMPP. I don't know whether I am running Apache. So Apache server is not running. So that's why I didn't get anything. You should run Apache server. Give localhost 1.html. Okay. So you got the calculator. So you can here perform. So 5 plus 3 is equal to is here at the bottom. 8. So if you want to clear it. So 8 divided by 6. So we will get quotient 8 divided by 6. Quotient is 1. So like this, if everything is perfect, the calculator will run in your browser. So if you are any point, again same, Control Shift J will open your browser console. You can delete it and again run it. So you can get the Control Shift J browser console. So right now program is working correctly. There is no problem, no syntax error especially. The syntax error can be found in your browser console. Which syntax error? JavaScript programs syntax error, you can find it. So I think everyone got it. The programs, the description 1.html, I will put it in your files in Microsoft Teams. In the class materials, I will put there. So, but I recommend you people to type it, the program, so that you will learn, you will understand the logic of the program. Simply don't copy, paste, and run the program. You type your program. I will put it in the class materials file of Microsoft Teams. So execute this program. Okay. By next class, I will explain the logic, and because without starting, we have not yet started JavaScript. We need to complete first HTML completely, then we need to go for JavaScript. So as and when we complete the theory, I will explain the logic of these programs. Okay. So now I think it's time for attendance. So, okay. Any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask. Any doubts? You can unmute and you can speak if you have any doubts regarding this. And one more thing regarding project, I will give a spreadsheet, like Excel sheet, which I will give it in Microsoft Teams. So all of you can enter your batch details. Who are the 2 members who are doing the project, your web programming project, you can give there. Okay, and even the title of your project, you can specify there. So any doubts? No doubts. So if you have any doubts, you can unmute yourself and ask the doubts. So, okay, then I will stop this meeting.